Tell me there's an angel in your tree. Did he say he'd come to call on me? Yeah. But things are getting desperate in our home. Living in the parish of the restless folks I know. Everybody now, bring your family down to the riverside. Look to the east to see where the fat stock hide. Behind four walls of stone, the rich man sleeps. It's time we put the flame torch to their key. Burn down the mission, Lord, if we're gonna stay alive. Watch the black smoke fly to heaven, see the red flame light the sky. Burn down the mission, Lord, if we're gonna stay alive. It's our only chance of living. Take all you need to live in a sign. Burn it down. I said burn it down.
All right, the original power trio, the Elton John Band from 1970, I believe, 71, 72. Dee Murray, Nigel Olsson, and Elton John with Burn Down the Mission. Why that song? Well, because it's time to burn it down, folks. It's time to fucking burn everything down. This criminal government, these criminal courts, it's time to burn down the mission. And the sentiments of that song, I would suggest you go back, find some other videos of that song, and read the lyric, because from my perspective, that's where we all are all right now. Welcome to Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I am your host, Mike Barra in Las Vegas, Nevada. TV's Blake Wally is going to be joining us in a couple minutes. I'm joined tonight, as I always am, by the only man on the planet you cannot get smarter by spending 4 hours in a car with, Dr. Brooks Agnew in the Carolinas. Brooks, how are you doing tonight? And what are
I'm
you
ready to light them up. Yeah, let's light them up. You know, when decisions don't go the left's way, what do? They burn the damn city to the ground,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Maybe it's time for us to start thinking about our own protests. Oh, peaceful protests, of course. Just in case there's any feds watching. Oh, if there are, fuck you. Anyway, I'm a little fired up tonight for a whole bunch of reasons. But before we get going on that, I want to say specifically that all opinions I may express tonight are my own. They do not represent those of my colleagues, my network, my TV station, and well, all those other people. They represent the views of millions of Americans, millions upon millions of Americans whose voices need to be known. Okay, so before we get to that, I want to address something else while we're waiting for TV's Blake Wally to get in here. Blake is just delayed, guys. He may be here in a couple minutes. We're hoping. But there have been a lot of. I just got back from Pine Bush, New York. We're going to North Carolina next week. Apparently, we have some shit to figure out about North Carolina, Brooks. But I thought we were on the same page. Apparently not, Sherry. I'm going to be giving you a call.
We'll start
tonight.
the party early.
Yeah. So the situation is that I went to Pine Bush, New York last week for the Pine Bush UFO Festival. It was a wonderful event. It was incredibly well attended. Probably 10 or 15,000 people went through. Just like it's like Spruce Pine, Brooks. It's amazing. Only I think it's an even smaller town. And I think that hang on. So I was hanging out with Tom Reed this past weekend. Tom is a wonderful guy. He's been my best friend in the UFO community for years. And unfortunately, he got himself involved in a business relationship with somebody named Rhiannon Alley. Now, I first met this person in Manchester, England, about 5 or 6 years ago, like 2018, 2019, when she came to Awakening Manchester. Well, she had been involved with Tom's business called UFO Expo, which he's using to promote and create UFO conferences all over the country. And they were also involved, along with a huge tub of goo named Anthony Esemplari, who I first met last year at Spruce Pine, and who started, I think, a YouTube station called Unredacted S4, or I don't know, something S4, and started pretending to be Tom's friend. Well, the reason she was pretending to be Tom's friend apparently is she wanted to get their hands on Tom's GoFundMe account for the documentary film he was making about his case. Tom is probably one of the most well documented, officially sponsored by local governments abduction cases on the entire planet, because she ended up with a whole bunch of the money in her pocket. The footage got taken by them, and now she's apparently fled to Israel. This is what I understand. This is what I've been told. I don't know that those are facts, but I trust my friend Tom. Tom has retained a lawyer. But all of a sudden, as we got there on Friday, yeah, there are tons of grifters in ufology. As we got there on Friday, we went and hung out at the Long Street Tavern, which is a really nice bar there. I gave it a very, very unredacted S4. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it's called. But we were hanging out, and some very unattractive woman dressed up like a weirdo named Liz Mason showed up, and she sat down between me and Tom, and everybody sat around and had a couple of beers. Darcy Weir was there, and Darcy's friend Andy, and me and Tom, and this Liz Mason, yeah, Liz Mason. And then neither one of us was interested in her, and so she left. So the next day, photoshopped images of Tom and one of his better friends, who's a very sweet girl, who I've met and hung around with many times myself, appeared. And they're completely photoshopped and all these bizarre accusations. And then today I got attacked by somebody named Laura Shannon Gurjevich, who used to be a friend of mine and claimed to be my friend for years and is now apparently attacking me in private to people. She's friends, it turns out, with, guess who? Rhiannon Alley. Fat Boy Anthony blocked me on Facebook. Guess why? Because he's been having an affair with Rhiannon Alley, who's married. So at least that's the accusation. Everybody that was there, when they were filming saw all this stuff. So there's all this shit going on. So Tom has retained a lawyer. All I'm asking people is if you hear anything from Rhiannon Alley, or if you hear from Anthony S. Emplari, Tub of Goo Anthony S. Emplari, or if you hear from Liz Mason, or if you hear from Laura Shannon Gurjevich, or for that matter, if you hear from Tori Oates, communication with respect to me or Tom Reed, I would appreciate you forwarding that information to me immediately, because it will be forwarded to Tom's lawyers. So what I have to say about my friend Tom Reed is he is an upstanding man. He is honest. He is straightforward. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't lie, completely unlike the people around him. And, one of the worst things, sorry, Blake, Brooks, I guess I should have not put you up while I was doing this whole thing. But, the main thing I want to say is that Tom has my full support and he always will. I'm going to see him here in North Carolina on Thursday, Friday. And basically, this person is trying to poison all of his business relationships and steal from him, apparently, and it's not going to stand. So that's a situation. And if you do hear from any of those people whose names I just mentioned, please forward the communication to me immediately so I can forward it to Tom's lawyers. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, welcoming in now everybody else, including TV's Blake Wally. Blake,
hello.
How are you doing tonight? And what are you drinking, buddy? Stay out of the drama, man. Stay out of the drama.
Yeah, I guess I missed something. That's all good. And I'll catch the replay. I hope everything is well. I'm doing well. It's great to be here. I am going to be opening a new box wine, a little Red Evolution. Red
nice
blend
stuff. By the way, everything stated on this channel is for private communication between us and the users only. It's not intended for public distribution. MUFON has a lot of assholes. Yeah, John Ventre went on a complete racist rant a few years ago, and he's still part of MUFON. The grifters seem to be being exposed in the UFO community, and it's about fucking time is all I have to say about it. All right. Guys, today is an anniversary. Do either one of you know what it is the anniversary of?
June 4th.
No.
All right. Well, let's just play the video and share it, and I think you will figure it out pretty.
Oh yeah.
Climbing on.
Okay, so this is, I do believe, the 45th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square protests and Tiananmen Square massacre, and we have never really had our own freedoms under as much stress and pressure as they are from the criminal cabal Biden administration. By the way, do you guys remember the Oklahoma City bombing?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, 4 days after the Oklahoma City bombing, Hillary Clinton was scheduled to testify in court about the Whitewater case.
That's right.
And the Whitewater documents were stored in the Oklahoma City Murrah Federal Building, which was blown up. And the attorney, the Fed attorney who handled the case and subsequently dropped it was, by the way, Merrick Garland. Just so you all know how dirty
Ooh,
and
Did
corrupt
not know that.
thing was. So there we are. Here's what's going on. The 45th anniversary of Tiananmen Square. And I guess I want to get your thoughts, Blake. I want to start with you.
sure.
If you're late, you have to go first. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on
Drinking scotch on the rocks
Oh,
again.
Scotch on the rocks.
Nice.
What are your thoughts on Tiananmen Square 45 years later? And what do you think it in terms of its implications for America as well?
Well, that is one of the bravest people, bravest men, women, whatever, bravest individuals that has
Bravest
ever
man.
lived on this planet, and we don't even know their name.
Yeah.
So to stand up to the communist Chinese, the crazy authoritarians, and was a symbol, and they actually had to, erase his legacy and try to delete that moment from history. So government is still like denying that ever took place because it was so embarrassing for them. And it's just a shame that more people couldn't join in to participate and take that, communist authoritarian regime down in some regard. But that just shows, I mean, here in America, we have, the Second Amendment, we have the First Amendment, we have rights that they could never dream of. Certainly that individual did. And, he paid for it with his life. And he's a symbol of bravery that will stand the test of time. So kudos. I've already forgotten the other question.
Well, just what do you think? What do you think its relevance is to America today? Like, do you feel like we're closer to a moment like that in terms of the occupation of the square? If we protest, I mean, I feel like January 6th is our Tiananmen Square in a sense, because it was again a protest against an unjust, immoral government, and people were set up. Only one person died as opposed to the thousands, I guess, that died in Tiananmen Square. But what do you feel like is the comparison?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a tougher predicament. Again, it's one of those events that didn't go as well as they would have hoped. More people, following suit. But I think a lot of people were pretty confused on what was actually happening January 6th. Certainly didn't feel like quite the stand that that man took by himself against the entire empire like that. So that was even unprecedented then. So we have a lot more leeway here, but we're certainly going to go down that path towards authoritarianism if we don't learn to respect our First Amendment and our Second Amendment and fight for it, so that we don't end up in a position like that in the future. Because certainly these regimes would like that to happen. They would love to disarm us and to have us never speak out against the government again. So they've got those people under control.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of feel like we're right there. I think we're there, because I mean, the only difference is that they had no fear of crushing people under their tanks, whereas they have a little bit to fear from us because we still have some guns. Brooks, any thoughts on this being the anniversary of Tiananmen Square, or one of the days? It went on for days. It actually went on for weeks before they acted, but.
Well, that was a pivotal moment, because the order actually had been given, and like you said, thousands of people died in Tiananmen Square. But that was the moment a soldier inside that tank decided not to follow the order. That's the key to Tiananmen Square. And what's going on right now is we have armed censorship agents inside social media, maybe not so much in Twitter, but they are in TikTok and Facebook and other places. And they are actively manipulating the 2024 election, just like they did in 2020, just like they did in 2022. I can guarantee you that Hunter Biden, even though he's standing trial for a federal crime, which he admitted to doing, which there's video of him doing, pictures of him doing, and cameras showing him signing the documents where he bought the firearm illegally, and yet he's not going to face any time. And even if he is convicted, nothing's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
What has happened in this country, instead of putting soldiers on the streets, what they've done is put soldiers in our courts. So they bring a judge, they bring a man from Colombia. He's not even a judge, he's an acting judge. You know, like Alec Baldwin is not a real pilot, but he played a pilot in the movies, right? This guy's an acting judge, and he just convicted our president. And the left is masturbating about this. It's Toxically Masculine Tuesday, so I could say what I want. So instead of having soldiers, we have judges, we have attorneys general, we have U.S. attorneys. That's who's going after patriots in this country. And what it's going to take one of these soldiers not following orders. And it has not happened yet. You saw the fascists on parade. You saw Merchant on parade. You saw Merrick Garland on parade, lying his ass off. Nothing will happen. I'm so pissed off at Jim Jordan right now. I can't even see straight. I don't want another hearing. I want a hanging.
Yeah, and that's why I played Burn Down the Mission tonight, because that's where we're at. And it's time for action. It's time to get rid of these people. And by the way, I do not speak for either one of my co-hosts here tonight, but I am way past the point where hearings or even prison time is good enough for these people. It is time to start giving them the penalty for treason, because they have all committed treason and they all need to end up swinging from a noose over it. So as you can see in chat, we had, again, some of the people I spoke out against at the beginning of this show are in here under fake assumed names, and they're continuing the harassment. But you have literally absolutely nothing on me, so I'm not the least bit concerned about it. And you have literally absolutely nothing on Tom. You're just trying to cover up your own thievery, and you will not get away with it, is what I'm saying. So we all fight our own battles. I think, the thing that we really have to address, it is really lucky that we didn't have a show on the day that Donald Trump was convicted of 34 completely false, fraudulent, fake felonies. It was absolutely a joke. And the whole trial was a joke. And, I'm not positive about this exactly, but we'll get into it in a little bit, Brooks. If I want you to hold your water on this. My understanding is that the vote was actually to acquit, and the judge either changed it or browbeat the jurors into believing that they could vote to convict, even though they didn't think he was guilty. They still had to vote to convict him, or some bizarre thing went on like that. But what I thought we would do first is let's slide on over and actually listen to somebody who used to hate Trump and pretends now like she doesn't, which is Megyn Kelly. Let's slide over and see what Megyn Kelly has to say about this, because she was on Dan Abrams' show on PMSNBC or Newsnight or whatever it was. Let's put it on.
This was good.
Let's put it on and listen to Megyn Kelly go about it.
There's wrongdoing here, right? There was definitely wrongdoing. Whether it should have been a crime is a separate. What's the wrongdoing? What's the wrongdoing? All right, number one, it's paying $130,000 to a porn star to keep her quiet. That's to try to protect your campaign. Can we at least agree that's wrong?
That's not illegal.
I didn't say it was. No. I just said moral versus legal.
Wrong. Are we talking moral?
I made it clear. I'm making it clear. For a minute, I'm talking about morality versus legality, right? There's no doubt that he engaged in.
All right, I'll tell. Here's my response to that, and I said this on my show the other day. I don't know what kind of weird marriage these two have. Same as I didn't know what kind of weird marriage Bill and Hillary Clinton had. So I don't know what their covenant is in terms of what he's allowed to do on the outside of his marriage.
Again, I don't mind the sex, but when you're paying $100,000, but I'm not talking about the sex. I'm talking about the $130,000 to keep her quiet to protect his campaign.
Immoral. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing.
Really? Okay. Look, again,
If somebody runs for office, they just lose the right to have any privacy. They just have to let us see all of their dirty laundry from the moment they declare forward, or somehow they've done something morally wrong or legally wrong.
When you're doing it to protect the campaign and you are spending money on it, then now I'm going to switch back to the legal. You are now crossing the line into legal problems. Right?
You aren't. That's absolutely not right. Incorrect at every level.
Again, the idea that let me back up. And you don't think he falsified business records either?
I don't know what he did. I don't think he wrote down.
What does that mean? We just had a whole trial. We heard every
detail
detail of this. How can you not know?
Let me answer.
Please.
Let me answer. I don't think he wrote down hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Nobody who pays hush money would write down such a thing. I think he wrote down, or someone at the Trump organization wrote down, legal expenses from the drop-down Adobe menu. And that made as much sense as anything else because hush money wasn't an option. He was paying his lawyer who had made the payment to Stormy Daniels, and he was, I believe, reimbursing her, though he denied that, reimbursing him, though he denied that on the stand. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I think you pay your lawyer money because he outlaid money for you. You could easily classify that as a legal expense.
No matter what it's for, right? Even if it's illegal conduct, you can just put it's a legal expense, right?
This wasn't illegal. There's nothing illegal about paying hush money for an NDA. It's done
There's not.
all the time.
But when you're doing it to protect your campaign, it is. That's the difference.
No. What law are you citing, Dan?
Campaign finance laws. You're not allowed to give the...
You don't know what you're talking
about.
What
are you talking?
You're wrong.
Explain to me.
Let me explain to you.
Tell me what I'm getting wrong. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. When you're spending $130,000...
I'll explain.
Go ahead.
I get it, because you're saying that there are limits to the campaign contribution somebody could make, and this has exceeded them, and then they hit it. I understand. That's his theory. However, this has been wrong from the start.
Yeah.
It does not amount to a campaign contribution if it is the kind of payment that could ever be made outside of the campaign context.
That's not the standard. The standard is substantiality. It's not. It's substantiality.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're wrong.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I guess we're going to have to agree.
There's been Supreme Court precedent on this. Talk to Brad Smith, who was the FEC commissioner.
Court that the standard is substantiality. All right.
So she sort of, I don't know, nailed him to the cross on that one. She just kept saying, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." And he was wrong on everything. There was no underlying crime. There was no crime of any technicality. There was nothing immoral. First of all, even if, hush money, what is hush money? Oh, it sounds so bad. That doesn't mean anything happened. Trump denied he ever did anything sexual with Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels denied it twice in writing that anything ever happened. He simply, actually it was Cohen who paid her money to go away and shut up, and Trump paid him back, none of which is illegal, none of which is a crime, and now it's been pumped up to felony status so that the Democrats can say Donald Trump is a convicted felon, felon Donald Trump. Well, you know who else are convicted felons? You know who else? You know who Donald Trump is in company with? Nelson Mandela. Martin Luther King is a convicted felon. Mahatma Gandhi was a convicted felon. Oh, and one more that I can think of. Jesus was a convicted felon. So as far as I'm concerned, that Donald Trump is in good company if that's the case. Brooks, what do you know about the details and especially the conduct of this judge who needs to go? By the way, under common law, the penalty for violating your oath as a judge is death by hanging. I just thought I would throw that out there. Brooks, what do you know about the conduct of this judge?
Well, it goes beyond the judge. It's the people that selected the judge. As I said, he's an acting judge, and he's not even on the list of judges that are supposed to be in rotation to be chosen. And yet he's been chosen not once, but 3 times to take out Trump acolytes. So here's the thing. He went to the jury and he said, let me give you an analogy. You wake up in the morning, you go outside, it's not raining, but the streets are wet. People are wearing rain gear and they have umbrellas. You can assume that it was raining before you got up, right? That's how you need to approach this. So, and he said, and you don't have to all agree on every single count. You can agree on a third of it, you can agree on a third of it, and you can agree on a third of it, and you have to find him guilty on all counts. Absolutely violation. I mean, due process is just out the window. So what's going to happen at sentencing is going to be another travesty, because probably Trump's going to be sentenced to a year. Now, we don't know if it's going to be a year in jail or a year in house arrest, where he has to wear an ankle bracelet. In any case, that goes into effect immediately, and they can haul him off in handcuffs. And there are already congressmen proposing that his Secret Service detail be suspended, because he's now a convicted felon. And convicted felon is now being attached to the name Trump. So every single time you hear his name mentioned, just like coronavirus pandemic, deadly coronavirus pandemic, and full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, all these words have been attached now, and they've all been memed by the fake stream news. So I think what needs to happen is the Supreme Court needs to step in with their emergency powers, a la Florida Chads, and say, this is ridiculous. We're not going to go any further with this. Done. Finished. All the charges are dropped. Get out there and campaign, and may the best man win.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the Supreme Court can or is scheduled to hear on the immunity case, the 15th or something like that of this month?
Mm-hmm.
And could basically say then, well, presidents are immune anyway, so this is all null and void. But, Blake, I don't have much faith in Donald Trump anymore, to be honest with you, because he hasn't stood up to these fuckers even once. And as far as I'm concerned, he should have stayed in the White House and never left. But that's just me. That's what I would have done. But what do you think about the judge's behavior? Because it is not true. They do have to be unanimous. I mean, there are 25 or 30 different points of law on which this judge deliberately misled the jury, leading to a false conviction of an innocent man. And what I want to know is, do you think anything's going to happen, or do you think they're going to get away with this and put Trump in jail?
Man, I didn't think they'd actually convict him, but here we are. So, yeah, it seems like he did kind of tamper with the jury in some regard. He was back there directing them on how he wanted to see things play out. I'm sure he's under enormous pressure to get the job done. Clearly, the radical Democrats, the leftists, want to get their man. And yes, that's what they want to do. They labeled him as a convicted felon. He should have recused himself if this was any kind of a normal trial, but this is clearly a political hit job and a show trial. And his daughter is, works with these radicals. So it should be obvious that something was off here. I don't know whether they can send him in. I hope the Supreme Court can step in. I saw James Comey was who should be behind bars, but he was fantasizing about the possibility of putting Trump in prison, and I guess he'd be put in like some kind of a trailer somewhere in the back where he would be isolated from the Gen Pop. I don't know, but they certainly want to get that if they can. Yeah, and it's blatant election interference, and they've overplayed their hand, but they're going to get away with it unless the Supreme Court steps in or the people stand up. Yeah, we have our Tiananmen moment, and we all rise up, or like V for Vendetta. Something has to be done, or we're not going to have a country after it's all said and done, if they just go ahead and run us over and steal this from everybody.
That's the thing, that they've only overplayed their hand if they pay for it, and nobody's making them pay for it. And where is our military tolerating this? This is just absolute bullshit. And I think it is way past time that somebody act. And I'm sorry, but I have zero faith that there is actually a real military on our side, on the side of the American people out there. I don't think they're on our side. If they were on our side, they would never have let this shit show happen. But they've just let it happen, and they've let Americans die, and they don't give a shit about it. So I think Trump's going to go to jail, personally, and they're going to kill him there. What do you think, Brooks? You had something you wanted to add?
Well, I don't know. I think the house arrest, if they could just put him in his house and not let him out on the campaign trail, that'll give Biden an unfair advantage. But there are states now already going through the House process right now because Donald Trump is now a convicted felon to remove him off the ballot because it's a rule in their state that felons cannot run for public office.
Right.
So this is not over with. And I'm saying unless the Supreme Court steps in now and strips the robes off these judges and says this will not stand, you can't do this, it's a violation of this law, this statute, that decision, and end it right now, and then say may the best man win. Go out there and campaign, and we'll make the real decision in November. But I don't have much faith in that, Mike. I really don't, and I think people are really, really getting pissed over this. And they're waiting for it. They're actually begging for MAGA to do something.
Well, it's time. It is time to start massive protests. It is time to find out where Alvin Bragg lives and surround his house and not let him leave his house. It's time to do these things. It's time to throw shit at his windows. It's time to get cow shit sprayers from, Iowa and spray wash every Democrat's house in Washington. It's time for civil disobedience. Okay? It's time for a little harmless, smelly civil disobedience at a minimum. It is time for this, and it shouldn't wait any longer. So it's time to get organized. Brian Engelman's here. Maybe Trump can claim political asylum in Florida and protect Trump with Secret Service, National Guard. Ron DeSantis, Brian, the guy who stabbed Trump in the back, said terrible things about him, tried to undermine his candidacy when he knows, like everybody else, that 2020 was stolen. I don't think that's going to happen.
And he knew they had shoot to kill orders in the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He let him do it anyway.
And did nothing about it. So it's like, look, it is time to get out and start protesting. It is time to get out and start stopping traffic. It is time to get out and start showing these bastards that we mean business.
Only reason I disagree is that never, and I mean capital N, never works.
Well, it doesn't work when there's nobody behind you. And it's time for these cowards, and yes, I'm calling you cowards, the white hat coward movement. It's time for you to do something.
It's time to cut off New York.
And
no more supplies, no more trucks, no more vacations, nothing. Cut off New York.
Yep.
Starve them out.
Well, let's build a wall around New York City. Cliff says it goes. Cliff, that would be the first thing Cliff High has been right about in his entire life, if he's right about that. Okay. Another thing that was interesting this week that happened, which is that mass murderer Joseph Mengele. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Anthony Fauci went before Congress and smugly testified again and basically said, you can't touch me, and was asked all kinds of questions. And under oath, Fauci admitted he forced kids to wear masks for no reason. And as Ed Wokeness puts it, for this alone, he belongs behind bars for life. Question: do you recall reviewing any studies of data supporting masking for children? I might have, Mitch, but I don't recall specifically that I did. I might have. There's been a lot of studies that have come out since the pandemic started. Specifically on this, there have been significant on kind of like the learning loss and speech development issues that have been associated, particularly with young children wearing masks. While they're growing up, they can't see their teacher talk and they can't learn to form words. Have you followed any of those studies? Answer: no. But I believe there are a lot of conflicting studies too, that there are those that say yes, there is an impact, and those that say there's not. I still think it's up in the air. So basically, this is among many, many other things that Anthony Fauci admitted before Congress, basically criminal acts, making people social distance for 6 feet for no fucking reason whatsoever. And Blake, let's start with you. Do you have any hope that Anthony Fauci is going to face justice for his crimes against you?
I do. I don't know if it's going to happen after this latest hearing, but maybe there will be some criminal referrals. Certainly, we do have some people that are going to put the pressure on and do something. As Brooks said, he's angry at Jim Jordan. Yes, who could be very powerful if he wanted to be. And I don't know if he's actually going to have the balls to do something about it. Certainly, they have him dead to rights on so many of these issues. We're supposed to trust him. He's the science, but nothing that they did was very scientific, and of course they were covering up all kinds of problems too, like where the Wuhan lab leak came from, because they didn't want to admit that they were using taxpayer money to fund gain of function research there. So yeah, all roads lead to Fauci. He was directing all of this, and he should absolutely be imprisoned and perhaps worse. And hopefully there's enough of a public outrage that they're going to demand something, because I don't expect Congress to do anything on their own, although they certainly have the capacity to do so. So hopefully this wakes up the sleeping giant, and enough people that were affected by this, that lost their jobs or were affected or were forced to take a jab or lost their businesses, or their kids have a speech impediment or whatever, because they weren't able to develop and they had to wear masks and all this stupid, ridiculous dog training that they forced the American public to go through, and just turned us, into the sheep of the United States. It was embarrassing. And it was not based on anything. They were just making stuff up, 6 feet distancing, or the masks we're going to somehow magically stop a virus. So yeah, there's not a big enough punishment for Fauci, but good to see him squirm a little, but more needs to be done.
I always come back to the Asian guy in the line at the drugstore who's trying to look at something, and he's got his foot in the 6 foot circle. You just got to keep that foot on that circle. It's just like, oh my God, what a dumb fuck. Anyway, Brooks, any thoughts on Fauci and whether he deserves the death penalty?
It's not just Fauci, it's the Faucists. Okay, we're talking about something that's driven by not only billions of dollars in profit to be taken, but it's driven by one main task. Because in 2019, the Trump economy was changing the world. Everybody, all the companies that I worked for and work with, we were all looking forward to the Roaring 20s. We were going to make money. Everybody was making money. Gas was cheap. Food was cheap. Money was flowing like crazy. They knew they could not beat him in 2020 unless they smash the Trump economy. And they used this health scare, this fraudulent health scare, to smash the Trump economy, and smash they did. They went after our business licenses. They went after our churches. They went after our radio stations and social media companies. I can't tell you how many of my friends lost their sites. I lost my Twitter account, my YouTube account. They stole my PayPal money. It was crazy what they did to us. I will never forget. And damn it, I will never forgive. Hang them all.
Yeah, I'm with you now. It's after a fair trial, of course, completely different than Trump trial. All right. Speaking of trials and things going on in court this week, jury selection is going on now in the Hunter Biden trial. And Jill Biden, who is not Hunter Biden's mother, his mother was actually killed in a car accident when being hit by cars driven by Jill Biden and or Joe Biden. Right? She was murdered by Jill and Joe Biden. That's what actually happened. Joe, by all means, sue me, Joe Biden, if you think I'm not telling you the truth about it.
She was the 15-year-old babysitter.
Yeah, she left court when they started showing pictures of Hunter Biden's schlong in court. Let's jump on over and take a look at some incidents that happened in jury selection this week on the Hunter Biden case.
And we just had an interesting development where Abby Lowell, one of Hunter Biden's lawyers, signaled that he's going to seek to strike one particular potential juror who told the court that he believes that Donald Trump, but not Democrats, are victims of political persecution. He said that the Trump trial in New York last week, or in the last few weeks, and other things, including the Trump-Russia investigation, led him to believe that prosecutors pursue cases for political reasons. And when Abby Lowell asked him whether Democrats are ever suffered the same fate, and he says not that he was aware of. Again, his is a former Wilmington police officer who is one of the 250 people called to the courthouse today to serve potentially on this jury. We expect, and we just had an interesting development where Abby Lowell, one of Hunter Biden.
Okay, yeah, so that's that. Guys, is there any chance, we'll start with you, Brooks, since you're up, is there any chance that there is a fair trial in the Hunter Biden case and Hunter Biden gets convicted of the crimes he obviously committed? Yes or no?
No, he is not. If he is convicted, it'll be of a petty misdemeanor and time. You know, this has already been more than anybody should go through. And I know he's never going to do it again. So they'll just let him go. Nothing will happen to him.
Yeah. Blake, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be any justice in the one of the first Hunter Biden trials coming up here?
Not on this one, not on the gun stuff. They're just going to say he was an addict. And yes, Brooks says, we're just slap him on the wrist. No big deal. Fine at the most. But yeah, and until they can get him, grill him over the business dealings, this is petty to me. So I'm going to give 25 years out of this. I'm not on this, whether he was an addict and filled out an ATF form wrong.
Well, yeah, but that's, that is also in essence what Donald Trump is accused of.
Right.
Okay, one other issue that came up, which is that Scott Ritter, who formerly was a United Nations weapons inspector and helped, I think, sort of expose the WMD falsehood about in the Iraq war to a certain extent. Although, I'm going to tell you again, there were chemical weapons in Iraq. They were shipped by the Syrians or by the Iraqis to Syria and buried in the Bekaa Valley. They were held in reserve before the invasion by the United States. That was reported on various news sites, including Fox News Radio. And don't forget, in 2006, when the Israelis invaded Lebanon and Syria, well, actually it was Lebanon, they went through Iraq, through Syria, and were buried in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. The Israelis invaded, went all the way up to the Bekaa Valley, stayed there for a couple of weeks, cleared everything out, and then left. So there were weapons of mass destruction, but Scott Ritter was critical in the narrative that there weren't any weapons to be found once the invasion took place. Well, he was detained at the airport yesterday. His passport was taken, and they refused to let him leave the country to go with, I believe, Scott McGregor. I believe Colonel McGregor was going to go with him. Do I have it right? Scott McGregor? Douglas McGregor. They were headed to St. Petersburg for an international military conference. Brooks, this is right up your alley. What do you think about that particular issue?
Yeah, this is targeting of people that are critical of the Biden administration and the Biden's actions in Ukraine. Colonel McGregor and Scott Ritter have been just tearing it up with respect to, and in fact, they're two of my good sources for information about the situation in Ukraine and the purposeful, I would say, poking the bear of Putin to try to get him to at least try out his nuclear weapons, because once he does, everything can just pour into Russia and they can break him up into a Balkan mess up there. So Scott Ritter's been very, very critical of the Biden administration and especially of Victoria Nuland. And so they grabbed his passport, and I think they're going to arrest him. And I don't think we're going to see Scott Ritter out there anymore.
Interesting stuff. Okay, let's slide over. There's a video here where this may be part of the reason why Scott Ritter got into it.
Well, he's going to go the way of Gonzalo Lira.
It's disgusting what they're doing. It's beyond disgusting. Disgusting doesn't even, criminal doesn't even apply. This is the embodiment of the devil. And that's what I need to impart here. The concept of evil. Pure evil. The kind of evil that dehumanizes, since they become hate-filled, vile, evil, satanic creatures. And it's disgusting what they're doing. It's
So,
I mean, it's
this
beyond
is, by the
disgusting.
way,
Disgusting doesn't even,
this is the voice of
criminal
Scott
doesn't even.
Ritter criticizing the pedos in the Biden administration. That's what he's doing there. So, TV's Blake Wally, if I can ever get this fixed. No, that's not what we want. If we can ever get this fixed, TV's Blake Wally. What do you think about this bullying of Scott Ritter and others? It's not going to be just him. It's going to be everybody.
Yeah, they're pretty desperate. They're going to go after anybody who's they're criticizing them. So they're already putting Trump in jail, and as Dr. Brooks mentioned with Gonzalo Lira, a political prisoner, let him die in Ukraine, getting tortured to death. So they'll try to get rid of anybody who's inconvenient and outspoken, and expect more of this as this regime continues. Hopefully we can vote them out, but I'm not so optimistic about that. But expect more of the same. If there's any shenanigans in this election, then people, if we better stand up, it's now or never, because they're going to start coming after all of us. They'll go after the big voices first, and then they're going to come for everyone else. So buckle up.
Yeah, and again, this is Rick is posting some stuff about the WMD's inspection. Tell a drug dealer you're going to rate him in 6 weeks. That is essentially what they did.
Yep.
And the thing is that the satellite photos that Colin Powell showed at the UN were real. Weapons inspectors are coming tomorrow. Oh, here come the trucks at the chemical weapons plant. Okay, next day the trucks are gone. Inspectors come in. No weapons of mass destruction. Inspectors leave. Next day, trucks are back. What do you think was in those trucks that they hauled out and put back? The Republican Guard's supply of Krispy Kremes for the month? Is that what you think was in those trucks? So the weapons did exist. They were run through, gotten out of the country of Iraq into Syria, and then buried in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, which is why the Israelis invaded Lebanon in 2006, went all the way up to the Bekaa Valley, stopped, dug up all the chemical weapons, destroyed them, and then left. And that is the reality of what happened. So it's
yellow cake. Yeah.
It's lies within lies within lies. I see plans within plans.
By the way, there's a motion out there underground
Great house
to ask Elon Musk to release all of the messaging, the direct messaging of the 350 people that they have on this, I guess, legal hit list, starting with Barack Obama and going all the way down the line, 350 of them.
Yeah.
And if Elon Musk will release that communication to the sheriff's departments, they will go do the arrests, and we can get this shit show started.
Yeah. Boy Dogs 2 says the FBI is monitoring websites for anti-Biden speech.
Yeah,
they're going to be real mad when they get on this video. So,
yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for you, motherfuckers.
Yeah. By the way, I want everybody to know that when I fly, I am going to be bringing something with me that's legal to bring on an airplane in North Carolina, just in case you're about to visit me in North Carolina. By all means, come visit me. Come on, by all means. All right, guys. Takes balls, and this is Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Guys, that's about what I got. Anything else you wanted to discuss tonight? I mean, the main thing is Trump. I was way more furious about it, a few days ago, but I'm still, until our side does something, I'm not going to believe they're going to do anything. I'm so sick of this. Just trust the plan and wait for the white hats, and the military is the only way. Well, then fucking get on with it. Thank you.
Well, we haven't done anything violent, but what we did do is we raised a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
About $250 million. And then somebody suggested, I think it was this plumber, suggested that Trump join TikTok. So he did. And in 2 days, he had 1.8 million followers.
Yeah. But, I mean, Brooks, the thing I get back to is, so what if a bunch of money was raised? All that shows is the American people are behind Donald Trump. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's who we voted for in 2020 before it was stolen by CIA and other people like that. But the point is, so what? If Trump doesn't do anything, if the people behind him don't take any action, then what good is we're giving money to people who aren't doing anything?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you because look what BLM did. BLM was formed and they took in, what was it, $1.2 billion, and it all went to Act Blue. It went right in the pockets of the Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. So
They can do it too. They can do it too, and they do it.
They can. Yeah, so TV's Blake Wally just shared. He shared trust the plan. Trust the plan. The rest are coming anytime now. Watch your phone for the alert message. 2 more weeks. We are winning.
I got your plan right here.
Yeah, that's a screen cap from the film Life Force, starring the intergalactic love pouches of Matilda May, who was God so fetching in 1981. Oh my God. All right. Any other thoughts? Blake, we can find you on the next level. What's that?
Yeah.
From
Definitely,
Level 1. It's a trap.
Yeah.
Is it Akbar or Akbar?
Yeah, General Akbar, right? Yeah.
Admiral Akbar.
Admiral.
All right, Blake, we can find you on the nextlevelnews.com. Anything else?
Yes, correct. Still doing a show with Brian Engelman of the New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show. We did one today, another one Thursday. Then, so if everyone wants to check that one out, please.
I do not have your. What did I do with your Chiron? I must have deleted it somehow. But the nextlevelnews.com. Dr. Brooks Agnew, you can find him at brooksagnew.blog. You can go to the immunization, get your Ivan and Roxy. I took my Ivan this last weekend. Felt great.
Ta-da! And by the way, this weekend, Mike and I and Blake Wally are going to be in Spruce Pine.
Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
There's going to be about 40,000 people there. I know it's hot in North Carolina, but not at 2,800 feet. It's kind of cool. It's very neat. You should come see us.
How tall is it?
It's about 2,800 feet. And let's see. There should be about 30,000 people there, but it's only $40 for the whole conference to see us speak and everything. $40. Go on, that's the cheapest conference on the East Coast.
Yeah, there you go. It's like $40, and we're gonna have all kinds of cool stuff there. There's gonna be aliens there. There's gonna be a cosplay contest. We're gonna be speaking. What are you gonna be speaking on, Brooks?
I am giving a presentation on asteroid mining, the future of energy.
Really? You're not going to do aliens? There's aliens, right?
I'm the alien.
Anyway, it's always a blast at Spruce Pine, North Carolina. TV's Blake Wally came last year. We had a good time. We will have a good time again this year, guys. I am really looking forward to it. So we'll see you there. And Brooks and I have to figure out how we're going to get together because our travel plans are a little bit messed up now.
I'm picking them up on Thursday and it doesn't start till Friday. So we might not make it.
Well, you didn't want to go up until Friday. So maybe I'll just have to have Sherry get me a Holiday Inn Express or something near the airport.
There's several great strip clubs in Charlotte.
I'm sure I can't afford that.
I haven't been to one since I was in the service. That was a long time ago, way back in the middle of the last century.
Well, allow me to teach you the ropes. No, we wouldn't leave TV's Blake Wally out. So yeah, we got to sort out all the travel stuff. So guys, look, that's it. I'm in no mood for anything. Again, if you get communications from any of those people,
one more thing.
Yes, Brooks.
North Carolina Senate finally approved the Convention of States. That makes us the 20th state. We only need 34. And I'll bet your state has already approved it in your House.
I do not know that, but I will look it up.
All you have to do is pressure the Senate. Once the Convention of States is approved, we have our convention. You need to look up, go to cosaction.com, cosaction.com, and you can see the amendments we've been working on. I wrote the book in 2012 that started the movement called Alienated Nation. It was a book about the Convention of States and how the states can get together and force amendments to the Constitution, which will eliminate the agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations' federal power.
Well, the thing is too, and most people don't realize this. Yeah, it's cosaction.com. That's the
Right.
website. There you go. All of these agencies are extra constitutional anyway. They're all illegal. None of them is constitutional, and that's not any authority that they've been granted. They only exist because of the New Deal, where they declared a state of emergency. And if the United States were not in a perpetual state of emergency, and one time it was because of the threat posed by the Serbia and Montenegro was the excuse used to keep us. These agencies would cease to exist and have no legal power at all. And so that's what we needed to go back to, is basically just cancel all the states of emergency. And
you
the
saw
agencies just disappear.
You saw last week where the ATF went to Arkansas and assassinated the airport manager.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Taped over his camera, turned off their cameras, bashed his door down, had his power turned off, bashed his door down, and 57 seconds later, he was dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And, again, you think it can't happen in your country, and it happens every day.
He did nothing wrong. He violated no laws at all. The ATF, wasn't even the FBI that went and got him. It was the ATF. They went there with the intent to assassinate him. It was a search warrant. They could have gone in when he wasn't there and searched the place, no problem. But they waited till he was there so they could bash his door down and put a bullet in his brain. And I'll bet you Sarah Huckabee Sanders is fit to be tied that a hit went down in her state.
How do you tuck a CBDC into a G-string? Todd, I don't know. But if anybody can find out, it's me. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be back tomorrow morning for Tell the Truth Wednesday with Jen, and I'm planning on doing Toxically Masculine, Whiskey and Wisdom on Wednesday with the original Mark Z and Zester. And then Thursday, I'm off to North Carolina. I just don't know where I'm staying on Thursday. So thank you guys, and good night. Have a great one. And I will see you tomorrow, and the rest of us will see you back here next week. Thanks very much.